That's a $13 billion difference. Don't know if I would define that as immaterial. So what they're saying is, hey, now that we are facilitating payments on what people are actually buying on our marketplace, now we can actually more accurately report whether or not something truly sold. They're also including sales tax and shipping in those numbers. They're doing everything they can to shrink the gap. So eBay just came out, a press release, not trying to draw too much attention to it. eBay announces change to GMV definition and releases updated historical metrics. If you don't know what GMV is, GMV stands for gross merchandise volume. It basically is a platform metric, platform-specific metric, not regulated by like GAAP, for example, which are the accounting principles that public companies have to prescribe by. Revenue has very specific definitions for GAAP and tax code and financial reporting requirements. GMV is much more of a gray area. It's a new financial term specific to marketplaces because when you have third-party sellers, whether on eBay or Amazon, that are selling products on your marketplace, they sell a product for $100, that's not revenue, right? What the marketplace makes in revenue from a sale by a third-party seller is, in eBay's case, like 10%. They'll make $10 take rate on a $100 sale of an item. That is revenue, the $10, the $20 take rate. The GMV says, though, as a marketplace, I still want to be able to report what is the total volume, what is the total throughput going through my marketplace. So that would be my one-piece sales, the products that I buy and resell off my balance sheet as a marketplace, which eBay actually doesn't do any of that, by the way. That's their whole pitch. We don't compete with our third-party sellers. They don't have one-piece sales. And then the GMV is including one-piece sales and three-piece sales, total throughput. In the past, with linear business models like Walmart, what they reported as sales was the same thing as their total throughput, right? All the stuff that Walmart sold was stuff that they were buying, taking on balance sheet, and then reselling. This whole concept of GMV is really just new in the past 20, 25 years, specific to the marketplace business model. You know, you read it, it's really short. It's like 3-paragraph, kind of like, hey, don't worry about this, says eBay. We updated this definition, updated its definition to GMV to include all paid transactions on its platform, inclusive of shipping fees and taxes. Okay. Some people are arguing, should they include shipping fees and taxes or not? Whatever. Just give it to them because there's a bigger point coming. Previously, eBay reported, now here's the meat. eBay reported GMV regardless of whether the buyer and seller actually consummated the transaction. Hold up. Yes. Well, let's read that one more time. Previously, eBay reported GMV regardless of whether the buyer and seller actually consummated the transaction. Yeah. They wrote that. This change has been enabled by the increased visibility derived from the company's transition to managing payments globally. So what they're saying is, hey, now that we are facilitating payments on what people are actually buying on our marketplace, now we can actually more accurately report whether or not something truly sold. This site, E-commerce Bytes, which I'm going to put some more context on who these people are in a second, covered this. And sellers have long questioned how eBay determines GMV. Basically, if you think about it, why is there ambiguity in the first place? Because eBay is not like an Amazon, right? It has a bidding, an auction function, right? So could you have a transaction, an auction end, and does the transaction actually go through or not? In some cases, and what turns out to be in billions of cases, that transaction actually never went through. But eBay still counted it as GMV. I guess they were saying, well, you know, the transaction could have gone through because the auction ended, but they didn't actually know if it did. So it looks like they just said, well, yeah, we're just going to assume that it did go through and count it in our GMV. So you had auctions ending, which then automatically got lumped into the category of GMV, but you know, there was no payment that followed through on it. eBay has been doing payments for much longer than just 2021, gang. So they had visibility on this, but finally they've decided to update this at the end of 2021. So very peculiar, right? And you say, oh, why were they so sluggish to make this update? Well, then you scroll down, and in the press release, they show a bunch of updated GMV numbers. And you look at these numbers and you're kind of like, well, it says GMV as reported, and then it says GMV at FX neutral, also unnecessarily confusing. But then you say, well, I don't know, where is versus prior year quarter? Like, are they showing me what the GMV used to be and then showing me what they updated it to be? It's not clear. And then you read the third paragraph in the press release. They say the updated GMV definition has an immaterial impact on previously reported GMV. Please refer to the table at the back of this release for a restatement of historical metrics. Okay, so they said, well, it's immaterial impact. And then you can look at the bottom of this press release and you can see the updated stats, right? So I see the updated stats, but I don't see what the alleged immaterial originally reported stats were. It's not spelled out for me. So you got to go into eBay's annual report. So I went to their site, go to their annual report. Okay, boom. Now, here I'm in the annual report. And so now I can see what they had reported. In 2020, they reported 100 billion in GMV. In 2019, they reported 85.5 billion GMV. In 2018, they reported a little under 90 billion in GMV. Okay, interesting. Then you got to go back to the press release. And then you have to add, and then you have to compare and contrast, right? So let's do it, okay? So thanks for making it easy on me, eBay. So 100 billion in GMV for 2020. eBay's immaterial updated version of GMV gives them 87 billion in GMV. That's a $13 billion difference. Don't know if I would define that as immaterial. Kind of seems pretty material to me. Like 13 billion on 87 billion of what it actually was, 100 of what it was reported as. You're telling me that's immaterial? I don't know about that, guys. Okay, let's do 2019. In the annual report, originally reported 85.5 billion. Updated press release in this wonky format, $72 billion. Another $13 billion difference. Okay, so they're 2 for 2 on $13 billion differences. This is even more, right? That's an 18% swing, right? It was actually 72 billion, but they reported it over 18% higher at $85.5 billion. That's not immaterial. Okay, let's do the last year of updated. So about 75.5 billion is the new report. And the originally reported number was just a touch under 90 billion. So they outdid themselves. They're now at close to 14, 15 billion of immaterial difference in GMV reporting. Oof. Yikes. Ouch, 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 ouch. So let's add it all up. They're at $40 billion, $40 billion GMV correction on $275 billion of GMV. They actually did more like $235 billion of GMV instead of $275 billion of GMV. And then you have to remember, they're also including sales tax and shipping in those numbers. They're doing everything they can to shrink the gap. If you'd taken out taxes, for example, you're now definitely over 40 billion in difference, probably closer to 45. So, wow, definitely not immaterial by any stretch of the imagination. And just to close this out, so it's this e-commerce bites, which right away wrote this article covering this very kind of deliberately under the radar press release that eBay issued. They didn't even spell it out as clearly as this, but they did hint at some funny business here. This was the site which these eBay executives ultimately went to jail for harassing security employees, not allegedly, that should be struck. They did orchestrate deliveries of live cockroaches, pornographic videos, and a mask of a bloody pig's head to one or two of these bloggers on this site, e-commerce bites, because they were critical of eBay. And I guess these eBay executives had concocted a story that like Amazon was paying e-commerce bites to be critical of eBay. It's crazy. And then, they leapt into action to go after these bloggers. So the bloggers have rung true, stayed on top of eBay's shenanigans, and to the tune of about $40 billion worth of shenanigans in just the 3 years that they decided to restate. So it's actually been going on for much longer. And they've had payments for much longer than just a few years, guys. So they knew this and deliberately decided not to do anything about it.
Hi, I'm Alex. Thanks for watching the show. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, but even better, make sure to follow us on Odyssey, follow us on Rumble, and text us 203-646-5159. Text the word Monopoly. You'll be subscribed. You'll get updates about when we're going live, our latest videos, and we'll send you even a little goodie bag. And in the event that we all get banned from big tech, we'll still be connected.